Well, good morning. Welcome to Sambo on Saturday. And today we have here with us Gawler Sweets, Mario Caruana, owner of the Gawler Sweets shop in the main street of Gawler. Very busy place. It's great for putting on weight, and you'll see the beautiful lollies in the middle of the table, and they're just part of 550 that he has here in the shop. Plus we have Shane Bailey. Now, I thought he might have brought along guitar this morning or a banjo and that, but there's nothing in the musical field that he doesn't have, and repairs them and also selling online. And Mario, welcome Shane. And Mario, we were talking about the period that we've been through here now, and you know, there's a lot of shops shut and things like that, and you're still rocking and rolling and still selling sweets and that. And you were just mentioning before that you now are going to go online.
Yes, that's a good adventure now. We're going to start going online with Gawler. It's the next step, for our business, which after the downturn, you know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah. Well, certainly with Joe Zappi and that, and with how they promote, that will certainly help. And I think it's so important that you get people that are involved to be able to help you, especially when you go into something as a new venture and that sort of thing. And Shane, you've been doing online for quite some time, haven't you? And would you say a fair percentage of your business is online?
Oh, we've been online for 21 years.
21 years, great.
Yeah, it's a significant amount, but it ebbs and flows. It depends what's happening and what's locally popular and what's popular online, and it always changes. There's no rhyme or reason to what's going to happen. And then you haven't just got an online store. You have what's called omni-channel, which is the vernacular. You might have eBay, which I don't like to sell on eBay, but it's another avenue. It's expensive. Reverb is a musical instrument specific trading platform. The online store, maybe a little bit of social media selling, and then through the shop. So it's omni-channel. You have to have all the bases covered because you have a completely different customer. eBay customer is completely different to a Reverb customer, and they're very different to our online store customers, who are different to our in-store customers in a lot of ways. The eBay is a very particular different type of customer. They're just buying small things, free freight, everything's got to be free, whether it's $5, $7, $9. It's a different type of customer to deal with. To the Reverb customer, which is a more particular customer because it's specifically a music trading platform. But it all has its adventures. That's great. And Mario, back to you on the sweets. You established a business 3 years ago, and family run business together, and so forth. And as I mentioned before, about 550 different types of items in your store here in Murray Street of Gawler. And you were mentioning that there's even more than that if you could, but I suppose it's on supply and demand and what people are asking for.
Oh, there's much more. I mean, most of our numbers came up from customers asking what we have, and we can get it. So once we establish a customer relationship and they say, can you get this, we bring it in for them. You know what I mean? So that's where you start with a small number, a bigger number, and people come and you got this particular lolly, we hunt for it, we get it in, we call them up, it's in, and they're happy, and we're happy, and our numbers keep on going. But there's thousands of different lollies.
That's great. And are most of the lollies paper wrapped or wrapped in some way, or is there still a lot that basically you sell in bulk, that aren't wrapped?
I would say half is wrapped and half is loose. Like gummies, and they all come in bulk and they're loose and all that type of thing. Kids like more the gummy stuff, and there's stuff that is wrapped, which is more the elderly, where they put in their pockets while they're walking and have something to eat.
That's right. And Shane, back to you. You don't only run a shop by yourself, but you also do repairs on every type of implement. I know when I've taken a couple of old banjos and things in there, somehow or other you make them work again. I mean, a lot of people probably say, well, chuck that away. But on top of that, you also go to schools and actually teach or give kids a bit of an idea of what they can get involved with, and a bit of teaching as well.
Yeah, not formally teaching. I don't do that anymore, but I'm involved with a couple of the schools, really through the kids going there and kids that I know there, and give them some ideas on how they can improve their instrumental program and things like that. Try and help them to get the most out of their kids, because sometimes the schools are quite small and their music program might not be big. You've got to try and do lots of things with a small budget and a small amount of kids. So that's a lot of our business. Not a lot of our income, but a lot of our local being connected sort of business.
And certainly you have a very talented family in your boys. I remember my wife and I attended Xavier College, and to a break up at the end of the year, and your children were playing there, and you must be so very proud that they've picked it up. And I think also they're in the Gawler Town Band.
Yeah, they didn't pick up music because of me. My eldest picked it up when he got to high school. He got handed an instrument, a saxophone, and I played that for years, and I still do, but he didn't know that.
Oh, right.
It's just kind of his choice. And the youngest sort of took up bass around the same time, inspired, I guess, by his brother, and they played a couple of things together, and it really wasn't my doing. It's quite bizarre. And people say, oh, it's because he's a kid, but they do all the work, not me. And he's in the town band, the eldest, which has got a really youthful component now. There are, I think, 2/3 of it are under 24 or something like that.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah.
So that's going gangbusters. Being held up by COVID, obviously, but they start rehearsing again next week.
That's right.
It's important for the town. 160 years old, something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's good, because it's traditionally most towns keep their town band going and so forth. And as you say, getting younger people more involved in it, it's so very important for the future of it as well, and so forth. And Mario, I would find it pretty hard not to be snacking on sweets all the time. Like I'm looking at that great big tray in the middle of the table there, and I'm thinking, well, what do you do during the day? Is there a constant period of time when you've got one in your mouth, or think, oh, well, there's a new one, I'll try that out, and then you can't stop?
Well, I would say I would try every one of those. And everything, something new comes in, we have to try it out, because if you don't, you can't tell the customer. But but I've got 3 daughters. They do the sampling as well. So and the younger stuff, the sour stuff, for my younger daughter again. So all of us, we have a good idea what we're selling.
No, well, that's the thing. I mean, and I suppose it's a supply and demand, and your customers come in off the street. And what other ways do you promote? And as you were saying, with Zapier now, you're going online. But I mean, what other ways through the Business Development Board in Gawler and
Facebook,
Facebook, the local paper, the Bunyip, or
Bunyip in the beginning, and still now and then. But it's been word of mouth. And people come to Gawler and there's a lolly shop in here, and they talk to that person, and that's how it's built up. Because we started from nothing. There was no lolly shop here. You know what I mean? So so it's been to that stage where you say to yourself, well, what else do you do except keep customers happy, and they talking to me at home.
Well, certainly in the last 12 months especially, your name has certainly gone right up out there. If people think of your sweets, they come on in, and you're in a perfect position in the middle of Gawler in the main street, where people have got parking just off the street. They can come on in, certainly plenty of parking, off-street parking and things like that. All we've got to do is get the council to put a few more signs in to be able to let them know where the parking is, and everything will be all right. So that's really good. And of course, Shane, you've had a bit of trouble with parking too, because where you are, there's no actual immediate park next to you. You've actually got the 4-storey car park around by Woolworths there, but has that been a bit of an obstacle for you to get people in off the street?
We have the 4 parks in front, and when council is monitoring the street, it's not so bad, because some people used to make a habit of parking there all day, and it doesn't help when you've got only 4 parks. But there is no signage to tell people there's a 4-storey car park behind our building. It'd be handy if that was the case, and I've been asking for that for several years. I'll probably still be asking.
Yeah.
Unless one of my counsellors,
Oh, I knew you'd have to throw that in. Yeah.
maybe someone with the swing of a former mayor.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And certainly in your industry especially, and probably the same way with Mario, is the fact that the big supermarket chains, they're selling implements and guitars and saxes and all that sort of stuff. So it's a bit of a David and Goliath type tale in a sense, but also a lot of those big stores like Allen's and Billy Hyde collapsing. Have you noticed, any difference in the way you trade and get the people off the street?
No, there are thousands and thousands of products in musical instruments.
Oh, right.
And there are big names that some of those bigger stores concentrate on because they're easy to sell.
Yeah.
If you've got staff on the floor and they may have different levels of experience in selling, the easiest thing to sell is the one they know the name of. Yeah. We consciously avoided all those brands because we don't need to compete with someone of that calibre. But they've all fallen over. So, there's not that much margin in our industry.
No,
so if you're going to pay $1 million of rent in the middle of Sydney, you have to sell a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's still a niche. Still a niche market, and it's a discretionary purchase in a big way. If they think times are tough, then they're going to buy a new guitar.
Yeah. And Mario, with what we've just been through, the 19 that we didn't want, and so forth, have you sort of looked at or taken time out to see something you might do a bit differently from now on?
I think during the COVID virus thing, we did deliveries, and that kept us busy. People ringing us up and putting the orders through. And
wow!
so
you were doing delivery too?
Yeah, we went as far as Roseworthy to Wales, and it was good because we got to meet our customers.
That's good.
And they appreciated that we didn't get them into the town in that moment, so that helped us out, and now we have that extra bond with them. You know what I mean? So it's good.
And these sort of businesses, especially family operated like you and Shane both do, how do you sort of split the work and have a bit of fun? What way do you enjoy yourself outside of the business? You got to shut the door sometimes.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, Saturdays we're out of here by 4. We're at the beach by 5:30. Sunday we don't operate, so we have that day for us as well. But no, we still have good quality home family time. Yeah, so we manage, but you have to balance it out.
Balance it down too. Yeah. And Shane, for those people that are watching this discussion with us here, and they're thinking, gee, I'd love to play a guitar or a saxophone or whatever it may be, and they might upset the neighbours for the first couple of months or whatever, but what do they got to do? Just come on into you and say, well, look, I'm a bit interested, and you have a bit of a chat with them and say, well, listen, why don't you give it a go on a guitar or a banjo or whatever it may be? Do you find a lot of that happening?
Plenty of that, yeah. That's ever since we opened. So if someone wants to play an instrument, it's their decision, as opposed to when you're a kid, maybe your parents tell you that they want you to play an instrument. Yeah. Some kids respond to it, some maybe not so much, and that's always been a struggle to get them to practice. But if you've made the conscious decision that you want to play something, you're going to pursue it as much as you can.
Yeah.
But there are frustrations. You need to make them understand when they start that you don't need to spend a fortune for a start. It's not going to make you any better, because if you are just starting out, a $200 guitar will sound as good as a $2,000 guitar in your hands. It's not being offensive, because you're just beginning.
Yep.
Finding the right teacher. I know the teachers around the town, if they're that way inclined, some people prefer to teach themselves or use the internet and things like that. And even with using the internet, you can give them some direction in that if you get something from this guy and something from this guy and something from this guy, all of a sudden you realise that they all teach different ways.
Yep.
And you're really not getting anywhere. It's best to stick with one platform that you might have learned from and go through with that person until you think you're confident enough to then try out another style or what have you. But managing expectations.
Yeah.
So people come to a guy asked me yesterday, where should I be at this point? It depends on you, depends on how much time you put in, depends on what you want to do, and everybody's different. Everybody matures at different levels in their playing.
Yep.
There's no right or wrong, and it's a lifetime pursuit. It never ends. You never stop learning.
And schools now, you know, like I certainly remember my grandson, you know, like through drums and that at school. And we've just seen our local man, Bruce Raymond, honoured with an OAM. I mean, he's just been a real inspiration in this community with what he's done with the various schools, the town band too. I believe he was involved with the town band.
He's critical for the youth that's in the town band now, because a lot of them were Trinity students initially.
Yeah.
And he was at Trinity at the time, and he was the director, the musical director.
Yeah.
And he brought in a lot of youth, and their friends or their colleagues or classmates or whatever have come through as well. But then other younger kids from other schools who have an inkling they can go along, and they're amongst peers. So Bruce is critical in that. And Tanunda is the big one he's involved in.
Exactly, that's certainly been a record. And, you know, but getting to a musical instrument, of course, years ago it was mainly the piano. You know, it wasn't, you know, like mum and dad wanted you to learn the piano and all that. But now I know the shows that I've been to around our town here, I'm just fascinated with the way some of the young children have been playing, so it's great. And what do you do for your spare time? I mean, I just asked you what you did for the long weekend, and you said you were pruning trees and doing this and doing that while I was out four-wheel driving up in the outback. So,
I was doing that at the shop, not at home.
No fairies come in and do it for you.
They don't. Yeah. No, you sell guitars and then clean the gutters. But I spend time with the family. You don't get a lot of time because we work 6 days.
That's right.
And you know, because the kids are getting into music, there's something for us all to do together. And before COVID, there was getting a bit of travelling around, watching the different things they were playing in, which we hadn't really had because they weren't real sporty kids. So we went at the footy at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. We sort of escaped all that driving an hour and a half to a away game. But now you might have to drive to Strathalbyn for a band competition or something like that, which is, you know, it's all coming back now. But yeah, spend time with the family. Maybe work on the car a little bit when I get a chance.
That's right, yeah. Well, I have heard you've got some beautiful cars that you're restoring, American cars. Where you
No.
What do you got now?
That's my brother. The same car I've had since I was 15. You know?
Oh, you haven't finished it yet?
No.
Gee whiz, you know. But certainly cars have been very popular in the Bailey family for many, many years. And I know your father, Peter, there's no doubt about it, he just loves tinkling with them, doesn't he? You know, but Mum wants to go for more rides in them. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's not so much driving, more.
No. Yeah, and Mario, business-wise in Gawler, you know, we certainly, Gawler is growing at a rapid rate. We've certainly got a lot of the big supermarkets coming into our town, so therefore it's the small businesses like your own have got to be, you know, very much on the ball and compete with them. But more and more people seem to want the personal service now. So, you know, yourself, you know, like, well, what is your favourite Gawler business? Have you got any particular one in the town that you can say, well, you know, that's my favourite spot, whether it's Crestline Meat or, you know, Winterlicks or somewhere like that?
Yeah, I mean, the chicken shop is our favourite shop because it's like, you know, close to us. But I like walking, Ned's and my daughter's. I mean, she does a lot of artwork, so she's always at Ned's.
Oh, yeah, they've got a good setup at Ned's. Yeah.
So you can walk around town and just the supermarkets. I don't agree with me. I like them, but I like walking to town and seeing a lot of businesses and say hello. People come in, and that's why we get our business, because people do come in and they want to say hello. Some just say hello and walk out. Just because they know us, and then they'll just walk in and just pot along and don't want to leave.
And I suppose with you, Shane, it's pretty hard to get out of the shop too as well, because as Mario, he's got his family that he may be able to pay his wife extra to come in and work a few extra hours or something. But you don't get much of a chance to go. But are your feelings very similar to Mario as to do with businesses in the town?
Yeah, I try and get it here if I can get it. You know, there's plenty of things here that people don't even realise are here. Perhaps you can get what you need. So we'll run across the road to the office shop, or go down to the game shop, or you know, run down to always got to go to the post office nearly every day. So You go past all the shops you might need there. The Tech Me down there for the computer stuff it's got most things you need. If they don't have everything, they're small stores, they're small concerns.
Yeah.
They can't carry everything that you may think that you want, but give them a chance to see if they can get it, or if they might be able to overnight something for you. You never know.
That's right.
You're probably going to have it just as fast as if you bought it from Amazon or somewhere.
Yep.
And they might be able to help you with the price. Sometimes it's very surprising. People just assume the online price. Well, we're online.
Yeah.
But they assume the online price is the cheapest.
Yeah.
But it's not in a lot of cases.
No, that's right. And then they need repairing, and they've got to bring it into you, and quite often, sometimes they're probably unrepairable, aren't they?
What you mentioned about supermarkets and department stores selling instruments, they're not much chop.
No.
If they're in a music store, they're going to be good. Because all music stores want people to play music. We're all musicians.
Yeah.
So you're fairly safe. None of my music store or any music store. If it's an instrument in there, there's a fair chance it's going to be something you can learn on. Particularly when you mention woodwind instruments like saxophone and things. We don't sell them, even though I play them.
Yeah.
Because there's some specialist stores that deal in that sort of thing, and only probably 2 of them in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And they're really cluey people and have a really good range.
Yeah.
But you can't buy a cheap saxophone. It doesn't exist for a start. But if you get it, you won't perform on it because it's a wind instrument. You're blowing wind through it.
That's right.
If you have to put more wind through it than it needs, it's not fun.
Yep.
So the trade-off, we used to get it a lot. He's only going to chuck it in anyway. I guarantee he will. If you buy him a guitar from Target, he's going to chuck it in most of the time, because it's not actually a guitar. It's more approximated to a toy. If you give him a decent instrument, it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah.
In terms of guitars and things, there's a more chance that they'll keep going.
Yeah.
Don't write them off before they've even had a chance to prove you wrong.
No, that's right. Gawler is just such a town that people want to come, and with our caravan park operating at around about 90%, all the time, it's showing that people just don't want to bypass Gawler. They don't want to go to the valley and down to Adelaide or up in the hills or whatever. And I remember when the Gawler High School actually did a survey. It was a project they wanted to do, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was estimated that 85,000 people a day actually came to this town. And the first thing I did was thought, well, hang on, you're joking.
Where are they?
But then when you go to Foodland, you go to Coles, you go to Woolies, and you say to the managers, well, how many people would you expect to come into your store in a day? And one says 2,000, the other says 5,000, and so forth. And all these things start adding up, And so it's a place where people want to come. And you guys are providing businesses, a variety of businesses, that everybody can come and get what they want. And that's one of the big things that I've been hearing in my travels around South Australia and interstate, is that people say, Gawler's a great place. It's the best of town and country, and it's not in Adelaide. You can catch a train from here, a bus, and anywhere you want to go. So I thank you, gentlemen, for today, having a chat to us about this and what we're doing, and hopefully more and more people will be able to pick this up and come on down.
Yep.
Get stuck into those lollies, and we'll end up with a few more great guitarists and that in the town of
I'm sure we will.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Let's keep sweet. Thank you.